but I'm actually tempted, and I may make a decision here this week. I'm tempted to order a box of ammo from them just to fire this gun. This gun probably hasn't been fired in over 100 years, but I'm seriously thinking about doing it.
Well,
Yeah,
good. Just call. Make sure you call Chubb Insurance and get your 5-shot insurance rider premiums paid, and then go ahead and shoot it on film. So
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The only thing holding me back on this is the last Rock Island auction blurb I saw for this exact same model that was not quite in as good a condition. That gun went for over 5K. So,
Oh, and you're gonna fire that thing?
yeah, you know
Oh
what?
man.
You know
hey,
what?
you know what? Don't be a pussy. I shoot $7,000 guns every day. Come on.
Yeah, but your $7,000 gun's not 150 years old.
It's true. On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, YouTube attacks us, the best John Wayne movies, stolen Ferrari F50, and listener questions. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny, Marky, and Freeze, and this is episode 209 of the John 1911 podcast. It is currently 9:27 a.m. on April 16th, and since we go live, we're not able to get any updates on the news. So if when we get off here and the news changes, please forgive us. But we got to record it at some time. How's everybody doing so far this morning?
I'm good. I can't complain too much. I mean, life is what it is.
Freeze worked all night. He's working this week, and he had the unique opportunity to have someone called him a racist, and then he turned around and said, "Oh yeah, no, you're the racist," and that's going to be the last we're going to talk about that on pod. Danny, how was your night?
Slept like a baby, didn't
Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. Danny, how was your night?
No. Actually, I was up early because I knew we had to do the pod, and I was trying to do, some preparation for it. Trying to follow the indie shooting. It's really sketchy as of this point, but just trying to keep up. Other than that, Freeze, I thought of you while you were working, and I rolled over and went back to sleep.
Yeah, that's par for the course.
Freeze keeps the world running while we all sleep. Yeah, I woke up this morning and saw the news, I guess, out of Indianapolis, or something happened at FedEx, and it's like, oh God. So
I heard about it, but I've been working, so I really haven't taken any type of not even a deep dive, even a shallow dive.
There's no information to dive into. It's so fresh. And
you know what? That worries me, because here's the thing. I'm going to make a prediction, and I could be totally wrong, and that's okay. But the fact that they're not releasing any information about the shooter tells me he wasn't a white supremacist KKK clucker.
Well, you know what? Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. It's 9:30. Everybody's been asleep. Indianapolis PD's been dealing with this all night. Whatever time it happened, it's still an invest. There's just half the reporters that would wake up and cover this morning are just now getting up.
Yeah.
It's just too early, and this could very easily be a white supremacist KKK clucker. It's
You're
not
right.
like it's not like we've gone through an entire news cycle yet.
Yeah, no, you're
where
absolutely
they're not
right.
releasing the name where it gets to be obvious. It's just early. The chances are, which is why I intimated it when we started this podcast, by the time we finish this podcast, the shit's going to be out, because
There's a presser at 10:30 your time.
And like I said, I prefaced my statement with I could very well be wrong, and I could be.
I think there's. I don't know. I don't.
I'm thinking disgruntled employee.
You know what? And Danny, you're probably right. At the end of the day, you're probably right.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, we know stolen information. I'm not even sure why we would even stake out a position on it, because I just don't. I don't want to make it political. It's like it's not good. We'll let the facts roll out as they may, and see what happens at the press conference.
Yeah, no.
because
You
no
know,
matter what happens, no matter what
yeah.
happens, now I'm going to stop you guys because I don't want to have to edit this bullshit out. You know, no matter what happens, somebody's going to be like, "See, I was right, you were
Oh
wrong,"
yeah.
and it's like it doesn't matter. So like, if it's a fucking guy who is on one side of the spectrum, the other side's going to be like, "I told you," and then if it's the exact opposite, the other side of the political spectrum will be like, "I told you," and it's all bullshit. It's a giant gotcha game, and it's going to who's going to win the news cycle today based off a mass shooting, and I don't want to participate in that. It's all of it's bullshit. Let's just wait and see what happens.
So so what you're saying is, unlike CNN, you're not interested in clicks.
No. As a matter of fact, I am. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that. We talked about it publicly. We not on pod yet, but the last podcast we published, I believe, it was the last podcast. And hold on, I gotta warn you guys. Don't say the word because that red flags the thing. So
Okay.
the flu that's been going around has caused some problems with publishing this podcast on YouTube. And, I personally don't care about YouTube. I do, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying when you
But
say
I want
do,
to
but I don't.
I want to explain to the reader or to the listener. There's a good chance I'm going to have to probably yank this podcast off of YouTube. And if you consume this on YouTube, you might want to consider getting it from, a podcast feed. If you don't want to get it off a traditional podcast feed, and you like the whole YouTube style, play it on your computer, video-ish type format, just go to our website and you can play it there. It's not embedded on YouTube. It's our embed. And
Yes.
what's happening is they started pulling some of our shit down. Because they don't like what we're saying, and even though it's not true or not untrue, and long term, I realize we're not long for a lot of these social media platforms. I already pulled us off Twitter. I don't care about Facebook. I like YouTube right now because the truth is, and all these people that they come at us and they're like, well, open up Rumble or open up I can't remember was it Air Float Plane and all these different places. It's like, number one, none of you assholes are there. You're all on fucking YouTube, the people that watch. Number two, it's like, the reason I'm on YouTube is because you are there. I don't want to build an audience on YouTube. What I want you to do is I want you to find us on YouTube and then go to our website.
And
I have no desire to spend all this effort for you to find us on YouTube to send you to Rumble.
Yeah, no
It's the
shit.
same-
I mean,
yeah,
you,
we
you
don't
need
own
to,
Rumble.
you need to come to our website where you can listen to us uninterrupted. And you know what? If you're a kind of person that likes to start at the beginning and listen from podcast one up to currently, I feel sorry for you because our early podcast really, really sucked. But the point is, come to the website, consume our information there, and you'll get an uninterrupted flow of podcasts.
Yeah, and it's the old adage: don't build a house on rented ground. And let's be specific here.
I actually know a guy who did that, by the way. built a house on rented ground.
God, what happened?
Do you want me to get into the story, or do you want to finish your rant?
Give me the Reader's Digest version.
Okay.
Did he lose his house?
No. Yes, he did. Okay. So
there you go.
Okay. Here's just a 30-second synopsis. Guy in Kentucky wins the lottery this was years ago, and it was a small lottery, like $5 million or something like that. Has a farm way down in southern Kentucky, several hundred acres he owned before he won the lottery. Paid to build his brother a house on his property, but they never deeded it out to the brother. Well, it turns out the guy that won the lottery ends up dead one day, money's gone, and the person who inherited the farm kicked the guy out of the house and said, "Hey, thanks for the new house." That's the short version.
The only thing that would make that story better is if a Corvette was sprinkled into it,
No. Okay, let me trump the Corvette. So the guy was divorced and he had to give a portion of the money to the wife. So the guy ends up dead, bizarre circumstances. It's the death is unresolved. It wasn't natural causes. Um, uh, like a year later, the ex-wife who lived in northern Kentucky, doorbell rang to open the door, and someone blows her away with a shotgun. Her money's gone. The only surviving relative's the daughter, and all she's got is a few pieces of property. And this actual story has been played on television. You know, some of these cable channels that talk about stories of like people that, like, you know, the lottery destroyed their life. This story is actually one of those. Yeah, and the brother who lost the house was a good friend of mine's brother-in-law. So I mean, anyway, I've already gone too long into this story, but you know, whatever.
I mean,
Everyone's freaking dead. The money's gone, and the dude lost his house.
you know, I mean, it's one of those things where if you don't know how to manage money and then suddenly giving people a bunch of money, you know, like $5 million isn't really that much money if you think about it, especially, you know, after taxes and spread out over the rest of your life. I mean, it's like having water. I use the analogy of water in a sink. You know, you put the plunger in the sink and you fill it up full of water. You know, it takes a while to fill it up, and you pull that plunger out, and it goes quick.
Look, all I can tell you is if someone dropped $5 million in a duffel bag on my front porch, by the time I bought a Porsche Carrera, hookers, and cocaine, I would be broke.
For the record, I have never played the lottery, so thank you. Okay. Ouch. Hey, you know what?
Yes.
Speaking of Porsche Carrera, I want to make a point because you, Freeze, you get on some of these Facebook groups for like different like AR builders and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've got this Porsche, and I'm like,
You're
you know what?
learning.
I need to figure out a little bit about it, right?
My bad. Porsche, not Porsche.
Well, I don't even know which the right way to say it. So anyway, I get on some of these groups. I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're talking about service bulletins or like, oh, make sure you watch out for your riboflavin levels above 7,000 RPM. Like, I don't know. And dude, these fucking guys, this is awful. It is literally just like a gun form.
Oh, yeah,
All these
they
assholes
are.
do is they whack each other over pedantic bullshit. None of them actually drive their cars because they don't want to lose money on them. But they turn around and they obsess over somebody that's got $175,000 miles on their Porsche, and they think it's fantastic. Like, it's just the whole thing is just nuts.
It's great that you put 200K on your Porsche because it's fine fucking German engineering. But however, my Porsche's only got 10,000 miles because I want the value for low mileage. You know, I mean, I get it.
And here's the thing.
It's the exact same gun argument. It is.
Oh, dude. It is, because hold on. If you have a Porsche and you think that's an investment, you're crazy. You know how many Porsches they make a year?
I have no clue. Don't care.
I don't
actually.
either, but I don't care either. But it's thousands.
But
it's not like a Ferrari where it's like,
it's
okay,
not
they
like
only made.
it's not
we
like
both
a
can't talk.
Lamborghini.
We both can't talk at the same time. It's not like a Ferrari, okay, where they only make, hey, there's this, I don't know, La Ferrari, whatever, and they made 500 of them. Or there's only 300 there's only 150 in North America, and there's only 300 worldwide. Or it's like, you know, here's another one I thought was kind of weird. Okay, Freeze, is a Lamborghini an exotic car?
Well, I guess it is considered.
Is a Ferrari an exotic car?
Yeah, semi-exotic.
Do you know these guys go around saying that Porsches are exotic cars? And I'm like, really? Since when?
Nah, they're not. I mean, Porsche makes about as many cars as fucking GM. Now, that's not actually true, but you get my point.
Porsche makes a lot of cars.
They make a lot of cars. They do. Now, that's not to say that they don't make certain models where they only make 100 of them or 500 of them. I'm sure they do, but still, Porsche is not.
But you know what? Here's the deal. Most of those cars are 300, 400,000.
Yeah, yeah.
They're 200, 300. Those are not the cars these people buy or own. And it's like like here's the thing. It's just like Corvettes, and it's just like Camaros, and it's just like like sometimes it's like 1911s. Like you'll see these, like every Corvette you talk to guys that own Corvettes, and every Corvette is special. There's only so many that are yellow over red, or there's only so many that have red stripes versus white stripes, and it's like every one of them there's only so many, and it turns out it's just a kaleidoscope of all the same junk.
Yeah,
it's a Corvette. It's it's a Camaro. It's you're one with red stripes versus everyone else's with a white stripe. Is it that rare? It's the
only difference between your rare red stripe opposed to my white stripe is the paint job. I mean, really, when you get right down to it, it might have a different torque spection in the engine and horsepower and whatever.
No, they don't. I mean,
but at the end of the day, it's the same car.
It's the same car, and it's like these. If here's the thing, if every car is unique, like people don't, it's like here's another. This is.
I'm sorry I mentioned the Porsche in my.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back to guns. Back when I worked the streets, I carried an Ed Brown 1911, and I had some backups. And a lot of people were like, what if you lose it or it gets damaged or it gets confiscated? So and it's like, well, I have a backup. And here's the thing: it's like, okay, let's say I don't have a backup and I lose my Ed Brown. I have it for quality. I have it for function. I have it because I actually use the gun. If I lose a gun on a Friday night and I need to get a new gun on Saturday, you just run to the gun store and buy another one because Ed Brown bangs them out like McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, Wilson's the same way. It's like, if I'm carrying an EDC, the gun I'm wearing right now, this EDC X9, gun, it's a, I don't know, $3,000 something gun with everything on it, and I don't know, I have to, I don't know, I crashed my Porsche in Ohio River and I got to swim out and my gun's at the bottom of the Ohio River. I run straight up to another store and buy exact other one. I know where one's sitting right now. And here's the thing. It's like, well, my local store doesn't have one. Well, okay, you know what? You can't find one on Gunbroker? If you absolutely needed a gun tomorrow, you couldn't find it on Gunbroker and have it shipped to your FFL? Yeah, you could.
Yeah, you could.
Because it's not a gun you got to wait. You're not waiting. It's a difference between a working gun and like, Joe Chambers, you want to get a gun from Joe Chambers, you got to wait 5 years to get it, the backlog. And it's like well, I get that. That's cool. But, you better get two of them. I mean, or have a back or, get your Wilson as a backup. Like,
Well, and this is a good segue into backlog. I told you a story the other day about a pool cue.
You know what? That was super interesting. Let's put that on pod. Tell the listener, because you know what? There's so much politics and all this stuff is so terrible. Let's talk about the pool cue.
Okay, so a friend of mine who's real big into pool, he's very good. He's I mean, very good. Is he a Las Vegas pool shooter? No, but he's pretty good.
He's also a man of means, decent means.
Yeah. Well, he ordered 2 pool cues approximately around 15 years ago. And this guy's a custom pool cue builder. And I mean these things are, they're high end. They're ivory inlaid. You can pick whatever inlay you want. They're intricately designed. But the reason it takes 15 years to get a pool cue from this guy, and this guy only makes maybe 20 or 30 pool cues a year, is the shaft, in order to keep it from warping, He literally shaves because you got to, the shaft starts as a like a dowel, and you got to shave it down into a tapered shaft. And he literally shaves like an eighth of an inch of wood off of it a year. And by the time he gets the shafts, because each pull cue comes with two shafts, by the way, by the time he gets them down to the correct size, it takes like 15 years. Now, he paid it was right around 5 grand for each pull cue. And he just sold one of them. He kept one for himself. He sold the other one. And he sold it to a Chinese guy, believe it or not. Because apparently, and this is what he's saying, apparently billiards is huge in China.
Luxury goods in general are huge in
Well,
China.
in this rich Chinese guy, but he put the pool cue on the market for $11,000. The guy bartered. He sold it for 10.5, and he shipped it to California, where the guy's brother was on this Chinese guy's owned yacht, and he shipped it to California. The guy got it, and when his brother sails back to China on the guy's yacht, he's bringing the pool cue with him.
Well,
So
that's the thing is, and and that kind of let's talk about the Chinese market. Let's talk about inflation, and let's talk about the rising price of a lot of these consumer goods. The rising price of guns, the rising price of high-end real estate, the rising price of exotic cars. Because what's happened is there's two things that have happened that disrupted the world economy. Obviously, COVID is number one. Okay, everyone understands, whatever. And the COVID has disrupted the world economy in two ways. The supply chains have been disrupted. But number two, you have a lot of people sitting on their ass with more time than sense. And the things they're putting off for tomorrow, like, someday I'd like to get a Porsche, or someday, you know what, I want to become a real good pool player, or the woman, it's like, I'd love to have a nice Fendi purse, or the dude that wants I can't even say Patek Philippe watch. They're buying that shit because, there's more expendable income being spent by those people. So that has disrupted the market. And then on top of it, you look at China. And China's, at 1.2 billion people. Here's the thing. Just consider this. There's 360 million people in the United States. And the middle class in the United States, you could, I don't know how large you would say the working middle class is in this country, but they're a significant, body politic and economic force in the country. They pay the taxes, they generate the GDP, they vote, they're the ones that keep the country from going communist. That's why the communists always actually want to destroy the middle class. The communists hate the middle class. Like if you read communist theory, we have 360 million people in this country. Let's say the true middle class in this country, from lower to higher, working middle class. Let's say, I don't know, let's say it's 100 million people. I think it's maybe more than that, but let's say it's 120 or 140 million people.
Okay. That number sounds right.
Yeah, I'm guessing. You got to figure there's kids. Like you can't I don't like how there's maybe 35 million kids. There's people. Like a 12-year-old in the population is not working.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say it's 100. Not just to be concerned. Let's say it's 100, 120.
Yeah.
The middle class in China, like well-to-do, upper middle class in China, people that are doing, they're doing well. It's like 300 million people.
Yeah. It's the population of our country.
Yeah, and those people, if you figure the top, let's say the top, I don't know, I don't say the top 1%, but let's say the top 20% of those people have serious coin. In the population of 1.2 billion people, that's not a lot of people. But the amount of people going around the world buying Ferraris and buying, Buicks and buying pool cues and buying dresses out of Italy and buying art at the auction houses, it's going up. Like we saw a lot of this in the 80s and you'll remember this, Freeze. You absolutely will remember this. Do you remember, like, we went through a period when everybody said Japan's going to take over the world. And,
Oh
like,
God,
there
yeah.
were kids that were literally going to school and they were taking Japanese because
Yeah.
it was like, when you grow up, Johnny, it's probably best for you as a business person to be able to speak Japanese so you can work in the world economy. And it was like, okay. And, like, how did that work out? But
Yeah.
at the time when Japan was on the rise, and Japan's still a very economically powerful country, there's some systemic problems that they fucked with their economic policy, which has caused issues. But people in Japan that had money, they were going around the world and they were buying up World War II artifacts, in particular, like the Japanese family swords that were
Oh,
captured during the war
big
and
time.
taking them back to Japan.
Yes. Yes.
And they scooped up a lot of that stuff, you know. And today you're seeing a lot of that. A lot of what these the uber wealthy Chinese people are doing. You know, if you go to these auction houses and you'll see, like, you know, I'm using terms, I don't know what the shit that, like a Ming vase or a whatever vase or something from the third dynasty of whatever, because a lot of this stuff came out of China. You know, China really hasn't been a functioning unified country. You know, really, they just started in '49. But, you know, for hundreds of years, it was just a shit show. And a lot of these artifacts came out of China by various people. Well, a lot of these wealthy Chinese people are moving around the world. They're buying up these artifacts and taking them back to China.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
big money. And it's driving the prices of all that shit up.
Well, you know, one of the driving forces of the Japanese sword buy up in the '80s that you were talking about was when, at the end of World War II, um, uh, the Japanese had to turn in all their samurai swords. You know, and I'm dumbing this down.
Well, at the end of any war, weapons are turned in.
Yes.
It's
Well,
fine.
there was a legendary sword. It was called and I'm gonna destroy this, so please don't beat me up too bad on it. It was called like the Fudo Masamune or something like that, and it was a sword made by a very famous sword maker in the 1600s, and it was in the possession of the Tokugawa clan, and I believe the emperor had possession of it at the end of World War II. Well, that sword disappeared. And
Really?
the problem is, to this day, this sword is still missing. And a lot of the Japanese people, like, you know, in the 80s when they started buying up all these swords, were buying up all these swords because they were looking for this famous sword. And this sword is literally priceless. I mean, it would be. I mean, nothing's ever
I
priceless.
just want to ask, just to make sure, you're not drinking and reciting the plot to Highlander, are you? Okay, just, you know.
Oh my God, Highlander! Jesus, you're digging deep into the movie vault there, dude.
Hey,
No, no, but I mean, no. This sword is like the most famous. I mean, it's like the holy grail of samurai swords in Japan, and it's still missing to this day. And it disappeared after World War II. So they don't know if a GI took it. I mean, they have no clue. I mean, this thing literally could be sitting in someone's freaking basement rusting away because great granddad brought it back from World War II, and it's a crappy old rusty sword. I mean, you know,
a callback to some of our previous podcasts talking about our careers, because every trailer has a samurai sword in it, and it's probably sitting in a trailer.
And
uh,
and a
I mean,
Corvette.
And a Corvette, and possibly a Corvette.
yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, it's kind of one of those. It's really intriguing when you think about it, because I mean, was this sword destroyed? I mean, it could have been. It could have been destroyed because they did destroy a lot of swords and weaponry at the end of the war.
You know,
Sword could have been destroyed because American GIs, they don't give a shit. It's a samurai sword. What the hell? They don't give a crap about anything.
well, you know, but the
You know?
thing is, we can, you know, that. But right now, there's somebody who's listening to this that is probably, they're probably not what I would consider in my political camp. Okay, and they're listening to this, and all they're saying to themselves is the West, colonialism, imperialism, yada yada yada. And okay, you can make that argument. That's fine. It's a specious and uninformed argument. But
Yeah.
whenever you have great disruptions in societies, this stuff happens. And here's the thing:
Yeah.
when in Egypt, when Mubarak fell like 5 minutes ago, and the reporter who now works for Fox News basically got torn apart in Tahrir Square. A bunch of people went into the Egyptian National Museum and stole a ton of artifacts. They still haven't found all that stuff, and a lot of it's turning up international market. A lot of it's probably destroyed. And here's the thing: when Al Qaeda took over Iraq,
Yep.
not Al Qaeda, ISIS took over Iraq. Yep. Guess what happened?
Everything
a bunch
got
of
looted.
shit disappeared.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The Amber Room from St. Petersburg is still missing to this day.
Actually,
the Nazis took that.
Actually, I think they found that.
Did they? Really?
I was going to put it on a podcast, and we ended up getting. Hold on, give me 1 second. I had to clear my throat. The last I checked, there was a ship that they had found that was sunk off of northern Germany, I believe, and
in the Baltic. Not the Baltic, the Northern Sea, I believe that is.
Yeah, but it's up there, and not the Black Sea. So it's up there some, because it's all kind of, they're all the countries, and I don't know if they were. I think they believe that they found it in a sunken ship. Like they may have figured out where it is. The last I checked, they haven't pulled it out and recovered it, but they're like, looks like it's in here.
Oh, well, that's interesting because it's amber, so the seawater. I
don't know what seawater would. I'd probably destroy it. It's probably destroyed.
I don't know if the seawater would destroy it or not.
I would count.
Salt.
Well, here's the thing. You don't think critters in the bottom of the sea would eat that shit?
Well, it's fucking amber, which is petrified tree sap, so they might.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's true. Yeah, I think it's probably crab food.
But it's pretty cold water up there, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of critters they have in that water, depending on how deep it is.
Well, you know what? If you want to put on your weighted suit and get past the Loch Ness monster, because we all know Nessie's down there.
Well, but you know what though? But you know what though? I think it was Sweden or Norway launched a ship in like the 1700s that sunk immediately after its launch because it was poorly designed. And they raised that like 20 years ago, and it's almost perfectly pristine because the water was so cold and deep.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those.
So, who knows? You're probably right. Even if they do recover it, what's going to be... are you going to be able to reassemble the Amber Room? Probably not.
Well, who does the Amber Room belong to? It realistically belongs to Russia.
Absolutely it does.
It's one of those.
It's a national. It's like a national monument type thing,
Mm-hmm.
even though
it's part of their cultural history.
Yeah, absolutely.
They still. There are people in the art world that buy stuff in the in that community, and eventually somebody from like the Simon Wiesenthal Center, they bring up some documents and they're like, this was looted from this family by the Nazis. We figure around this time during the war, and so we're laying claim to it. And most of the time, it's a negotiated because it belongs to and they give it to the descendants of the family they think it was stolen from World War II. They're still fixing all that shit.
Oh yeah, well there was a movie several years ago that came out.
The Monuments Men?
No. But that's a good movie too, by the way. I think it was called The Golden Lady. Basically, it was a Jewish family. I don't know if they were in. I don't think they were in Germany. I think they were in.
Poland.
No, it wasn't.
No, they
Poland.
could. Were they in like Lithuania, Latvia, and
something
Estonia?
like that.
There was a big Jewish community up there that got totally nuked.
Ladis.
Anyway, there was an artist called Gustav Klimt, and I like Gustav Klimt. I've been very familiar with his artwork for many years, but apparently he did a portrait from one of the matriarchs of this Jewish family. Well, when the Nazis came in, um, they basically, decimated the family and took all their artwork and all their worldly possessions and whatever. Well, it turns out that after the war, somehow this painting was in the New York Metropolitan Museum or something like that. I could be wrong on what museum it was in, but anyway, um, what happened is the granddaughter of the woman in the painting sued, and it took years in court
Mm-hmm.
here in the United States, and she actually won claim to it. So they had to give her the painting, which she immediately gave them like permanent loan to keep it in the museum, of course. But at least she is the actual rightful owner. So it did actually go back to the family. Took 65 years or so to do it, but it does happen.
Well, a lot of that stuff you have to consider. So, like, okay, think about this. So, like, let's say this family matriarch photograph or painting, let's say it went through our hands. Like, okay, let's say we bought it from, let's say we bought it from Cowan's in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay, and we bought it. Like, it's certificate of authenticity. It's a reputable auction house, nationally known.
Yep.
And we bought it, and then we turn around and then we sell it to I don't know, a tax write-off or whatever. We sell it to somebody in New York, and then somebody in New York, they're philanthropic people, and they donate it to the Met up there, and then this woman comes and gets it. Well, at some point in that changing of hands, people are going to start looking backwards as far as I'm losing money. Why should I lose money? You sold it to me, and it was not. You're not supposed to have it. No, you sold it to me. How far back can you go? Like if the person I sold it to loses money, what's to prevent them from coming back on me and saying I have to give them their money back? And then I turn around and then I hit Cowan's and say you have to give me my money back because this guy took my money. It's a giant mess.
It basically goes back to the first dead person because you go back on Cowan's goes back on whoever they got it from, and then the chain stops when the chain dries up because eventually someone's going to be dead and there's no way to get blood from a turnip.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know what the thing is, if the Marky Foundation was $1 billion foundation, somebody would try to get blood from the foundation, even though if Marky was dead. But here's another segue of this. I don't know if you guys heard this. This just happened within the past week or 10 days. You guys know what a Ferrari F50 is?
I have no clue.
It's a big-ass Ferrari limited edition supercar. They're probably worth $2 million. Okay. They came out years ago. There was a Ferrari that was in Canada that was coming across the border, and U.S. Customs, they're like, well, they look at the VIN, they're like, they're looking for dope, they're looking for, illegal aliens, they're looking for anthrax, they're looking for all kinds of bullshit. Well, they're also, they look at VINs, like, is this license plate real? Is this VIN number been modified? They looked at this Ferrari F50 coming across the border, and something was wrong with the VIN number. It was fucked up. Like they could tell like the rivets on the plate had been messed with. So they were like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and divert this over here. And you're like, yeah, you can't leave. And no, the Ferrari can't cross the border. No, it can't go back to Canada because you're in our station. Turns out the Ferrari had been reported stolen 20 years ago in Italy.
No shit.
No shit. And they just recovered it in Canada. And here's the thing. This car has probably been around the world, changing hands with people, until finally you get caught. Someone got caught with it.
Yeah.
And what they were trying to do is get it into the U.S., and they got nailed at the border.
No shit.
It's an interesting story.
That's very interesting.
And it's like, well, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if it was maybe someone bought it from a dealer up there, or like a deal they were selling it. Like maybe it was maybe someone had bought it in Canada, was going to bring it across. Like maybe the person in America bought it from a reputable dealer, and then they were bringing it across the border because, like, oh my God, I got an F50 for my car collection. I know a few of these kinds of people, and it's a reputable deal. They have no reason. It's got paperwork because it's Canada, and Canada's not America. Sorry, Canada, but it's easier to do shit in other countries. And lickety split, wham bam. Turns out it's on the what do you call it? Scotland Yard's International Stolen Exotic Car List. And I think the dude that reported it stolen in Italy is still alive.
Huh? I'll be damned.
And he's probably going to get his car. No, it's not probably.
He will get his car back.
Car back. It is his car.
Hey, Freeze, have you noticed now how Marky talks in exotic car circles?
Yes, he does.
Well, I just I've known a lot of those people for a long time.
And now that you're part of the clique, you can talk about it.
Dude, I got news for you. I don't care what anybody says. A Porsche is not an exotic car. Just give me a break.
Well, earlier you guys were talking about.
Now hold on a second, Marky. Danny drives a Jeep. I drive a Suburban. You drive a Porsche. Dude, you are the exotic car guy of the group.
Hey, you know what? I gotta be me.
Yeah, you do.
You just ate me because you ate me.
Yeah. But what's really funny is you guys were talking about these 45 forums or these Porsche forums. Well, my old work car is a 97 clapped out Lincoln. I haven't found one forum for that.
Wow.
There is a forum. There's an area in Cincinnati called 8th and State. You take your clapped out Lincoln down there, buddy, and let me tell you, you will be the man.
It's priceless.
No. I tell you what. Let me tell you something. Here in Cincinnati, you have two groups. They're well. I mean, they're gangs basically. You have the guys that all drive the what are the Ford cop cars? The
Crown
Vics.
They're the Crown Vic boys, and then there's another group opposite of them, and they all drive the Chevrolet
Impalas.
Caprices. No, they drive the Caprices. You're right. I don't know what the Crown Vic drivers are called. The Crown Vic boys. I don't know what the Caprice drivers are, but they all drive either Caprices or Crown Vics, and they're basically. I mean, they're not a gang like the Bloods or the Crips, but I mean, ultimately they are a gang, So
really, I haven't been in the streets or on the scene in so long. So are these the kind of guys that show up like in a mall parking lot at 2:00 in the morning and all stand around and maybe do burnouts?
No. But they sling dope and guns and.
Oh, they're okay. So they're like, you're saying gang. They're like a real gang.
Yeah, no, they're a real gang. Because
sometimes people talk about bikers. I'm a biker, I'm this or that. In reality, the dude's a dentist and he owns a nice Harley. He's not a biker. You're full of shit.
Yeah, no, I mean there's the guys that have all the little Japanese cars with the oil can exhaust systems and the souped up engines, and they meet in mall parking lots and pop the hoods and all talk cars. They're not really a gang, but they're just into that stuff. Now these guys are actually a gang.
No, I didn't know that. But you know what? It's kind of nice not to not know it.
Yeah,
for a change. When you finally retire, it'll be nice to, as time passes, to drive around neighborhoods and not know who's running what neighborhoods, and to not know. Oh yeah, there's dopers in this house or whatever in this corner, and these people are known for this. And it's nice to just leave that shit behind.
You know what? You're
gonna enjoy it.
I can't wait for the day. The day can't come soon enough.
Hey, speaking of exotic cars and highfalutin people, at what point in this conversation are we going to put up Wayne LaPierre and the woman who is one of the founding members of BLM into the same category of hustling bullshit.
You know what? You know what? You know,
What what a
it's
scam.
it's something that I really don't want to talk about, but it's something that we need to talk about because you want to talk about two different pieces of shit on the different end of the political spectrum that could be fucking married.
They could be. Because you know
I mean,
what? I mean, like, I think the founder of BLM is a lesbian, and Wayne LaPierre is a little faggot. So whatever. I mean, no offense to gay people, but fuck Wayne LaPierre. I
yeah,
mean, it's
fuck,
like
yeah.
fuck him. I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
wait,
people that don't
look,
know. Last week, Wayne LaPierre has been going through a series of depositions because they're fighting the bankruptcy. They're fighting with the state of New York because they want to move their company down to Texas, and New York is fighting it. And also, there is a prominent member of the NRA who is also fighting it because he is trying to nail Wayne LaPierre to the floorboards for stealing money.
Wayne LaPierre
Yeah.
needs to be nailed to the floorboards. He's a piece of garbage.
And at this depositions, they were talking about undisclosed yacht trips. They were talking about undisclosed hunting trips to Botswana, and it's like, well, we're promoting a lifestyle, or we're promoting this, or it's like, well, okay, well, then why is it undisclosed? It's like, because we go to Italy because I'm sure they swing through, Beretta or that valley over there, or whatever that, I can't remember the name of the valley off the top of my head. All the gun makers are.
So when you talk about Wayne LaPierre and his yacht trips, you know what immediately pops into my mind? Jeffrey Epstein's pedo plane going down to the islands.
Oh, have you heard the reason they claims the yacht trips? And look, Wayne's got lawyers.
Yeah.
Like Wayne, I don't know if we talked about this on pod. Wayne has in his contract, when he retires from the NRA, he gets $1 million a year every year for the rest of his, as long as he lives.
Yeah, we discussed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like they're basically fleecing the NRA. And
yeah.
And the reason they give for the yacht trips, and it's plausible, is, well, he and his family, they need security. Basically, it's like, well, we need a yacht because we need to go someplace where the poors can't drive, is basically what they're saying. Because I'm Wayne LaPierre. People want to get me.
I get why they're saying that, but it's such a bullshit argument.
Dude, most people, if Wayne LaPierre wasn't wearing a $5,000 suit and walking in public, nobody would recognize him. I'll tell you one, he's a very short man. I mean, I've met the man. Nobody would recognize him. I'll tell you what, when I used to work SHOT Show.
I don't know. Anyone who's an NRA member and gets any of their magazines, his face is plastered all over.
But you know what? If he wasn't wearing a nice suit and he wore a baseball hat, dude, he could walk. Nobody would recognize who he is.
Yeah,
it's like
right.
It's like Coleon Noir when he's not wearing a hat. Nobody recognizes who he is either.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but
I'm just making a point.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, whoa, that's
dude,
a good point.
Who's
got more fans, Coleon Noir or Wayne LaPierre?
Coleon Noir by far. But hold on, I saw Wayne LaPierre. Maybe it was I can't remember where but he was walking around and he literally had a security team surrounding him. Okay, so put it this way: Wayne LaPierre had more security as he was walking around. Maybe it was the NRA show, one of these NRA shows years ago. He had more security around him than I saw with Donald Trump Jr. At the NRA show in Indianapolis. Donald Trump Jr., you could barely pick up his security team. He basically had maximum two dudes. I saw one.
Do you remember, I think it was, I could be wrong, I think it was a Louisville NRA show. We were leaving the show after the conference, and Glenn Beck's security team damn near ran us over as they were shuffling him to his limo.
That kind of rings a bell.
It was dark. There was the four of us, and it was like they came out of a side door, and it was just like, damn, dude. You know,
that kind of rings a bell. Glenn Beck's another one that basically kind of kind of got a little bit too big for his britches, and then had to. I bet you Glenn Beck doesn't spend as much money on that shit now as he used to.
Probably not, because Glenn Beck's not really the
Celebrity.
yeah, well, yeah, that's a good term. He's not really the celebrity he used to be, so to speak. I'm not saying he's still insignificant, but Glenn Beck, when Glenn Beck went on his anti-Trump crusade, it really hurt his business and his empire. We'll say
It destroyed his business.
Oh yeah, it did. I mean, he really took a beating on that big time.
Oh, they were down to they were for sale.
Oh, he had to sell his jet. I mean, I think at one point I heard he was down to like 8 or 10 employees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
did Breitbart buy them?
I don't know if Breitbart bought them or not, but I mean,
they end up teaming up with somebody. I can't even remember who it is.
But honestly, when Glenn Beck went on he backed Ted Cruz. I don't know, Danny, if you remember. He backed Ted Cruz.
Right.
And then when Donald Trump got the nomination, he got all fucking bitter, and he went on this anti-Donald Trump, tirade, and he literally single-handedly destroyed his entire empire.
Well, you know what? Let me make a good segue here to prove a point. And Glenn Beck needs to learn. I hope he learned a good lesson here. That's going to be one well for everybody listening to this podcast. Ted Cruz showed up at the Republican National Convention and walked out on stage, and instead of basically saying, I throw my support behind Donald Trump to be the next president, he went up there and threw a hissy fucking fit. And all these people were like, no way, never, you're wrong, I'm right, you'll see, yada, 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 including Glenn Beck, because Glenn Beck had hooked himself up to the Ted Cruz train. Yep. All right? And all these people, basically, all their entire MO was to tell me why I shouldn't vote for Donald Trump. And it's like, I got sick of it. Well, here's the thing. Guess what happened? Ted Cruz basically sucks Donald Trump's dick now, and Glenn Beck doesn't have hardly a fucking business. So hopefully Glenn Beck's learned some lessons. Don't put all your faith in some politician who's going to run you off the edge of a cliff, because guess what? When the political winds turn, he's going to leave you behind, and you're going to have to reap the whirlwind on your own. Ted Cruz has done just fine in the Donald Trump and post-Donald Trump era.
Cruz, go ahead, Freeze, if you want. I was going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, after about the second year of Donald Trump's presidency, Glenn Beck jumped on board the Trump train. But the point is, even though he did that, he was still a day late and a dollar short, because his business was already kind of destroyed at that point. So he tried to okay, well, I was wrong. Donald Trump's a great president, blah, blah, blah. And he started throwing his support. Instead of every time the Blaze mentioned Donald Trump, it was, he's a piece of shit. Now the Blaze is talking about, Donald Trump's a great guy. But it was, again, too little too late,
Well, exactly. He tried kissing the ring, but the ring hand was being pulled back by Trump. And that leads into something else. Did you guys notice that there's only a 2-seat difference now in the House?
Yes. I actually sent, I don't know if I sent it on the group text or if I just sent it to Marky, but I sent an article about that.
All right. Well, not only that, and it's another Republican woman is in now. And did you see where Pelosi came out and said no to Biden's wanting to pack the SCOTUS? I think she's Pelosi being political savvy enough, knowing that if they push that, she's in grave danger of losing the House in 2022.
Oh, I think she's very well aware of that. Pelosi, look, you may think a lot of bad things about Pelosi. Hell, I do, but she's not stupid.
The difference between Nancy Pelosi and, a lot of these other Democrats is Nancy Pelosi will get up at the podium and say complete drivel, fake bullshit. but she
I, I'm
doesn't
s-
believe.
I'm
She does.
sorry. I lost you guys a minute. So
Okay. Nancy Pelosi will get up at the podium and say completely fake drivel bullshit, but
yeah.
she doesn't believe it. She knows when she's full of shit. That's why she has, as she's getting to be older of a certain age, that's why she has a lot of these mental disconnects. Just she's trying to constantly connect reality versus the spin. I'm convinced of this. What's happening here is two things are happening. There are Democrats that are trying to make political hay out of positions to try to win the Senate.
Puerto Rico, D.C., making them states.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
but what they're also but what they're doing is they're trying to say things like we can't get anything done in the Senate because of the filibuster, or we can't get anything done in the Senate, or we can't do this because of the Supreme Court. We need to unpack the Supreme Court, and they just all this crazy bullshit. Well, the thing is, and they're attacking everything's Joe Manchin's fault. Joe Manchin's fault. Okay, but the reality is the House, the arguments they're making to win the Senate are going to cost them the House. And, the arguments that they're making in the Senate about, like the filibuster, they have like 50, 51, like Kamala can break the tie.
Yeah.
They don't have enough votes to do anything because nobody's going to vote for shit that's crazy if they don't think it's going to pass on the other side. And Nancy Pelosi immediately came out and was like, yeah, we're not going to bring this. We're not bringing this to the floor. We're not going to be dealing with the SCOTUS thing. And the thing is, the senators, the Democratic senators that got up and had this little fake-ass press conference talking about let's expand the Supreme Court, they know this too. Like, they can read the tea leaves. There's not enough votes to do this. And here's the final thing as far as all this is concerned. Well, two things. Number one, the arguments the Democrats are making, blaming the filibuster and blaming why they can't get, they can't get what they want done because the Senate's supposed to have a 60-vote majority, not a 51 majority. Okay, a 2/3 majority. They're trying to blame Joe Manchin. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If it wasn't for Joe Manchin, and guys like Joe Manchin, as much as, I don't care for John McCain and I don't care for Joe Manchin. If it wasn't for guys, and I guess now Kristen Sinema, if you can even believe that shit, if it wasn't for dudes like Joe Manchin, they wouldn't have the Senate. Because hold on now. Joe Manchin, Joe motherfucking Manchin, West Virginia, comes from a state that Donald Trump wins twice.
Yes.
Okay, and I know West Virginia is a historically Democratic state, but it's a Democratic state from 50 years ago, which are now basically Republicans. Do you know? So these people are basically shitting all over Joe Manchin, okay, a Democrat that could win in a strong strong Trump Republican state now.
Yes.
And
yes.
And by how close? Do you know by what percentage Donald Trump won West Virginia?
Off the top
I know
of my
the number.
Head, no, I don't.
I think it was 35 or 38%.
39%.
Oh,
Yeah.
good guess,
He
Danny.
won. Chief political correspondent. Like, it's not even close.
No.
Like, it's
39% is pretty much of a landslide.
like it's. I mean, like that's how he was 39. I think it was 39 points above the other guy, above in West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean
above Biden.
That's huge.
But here's the thing: the Democrats need more Joe Manchins, not less. I mean, if I was a Democrat, I'd be walking around with the axe handle, beating the fuck out of these people. I'd be like, "What are you doing, motherfuckers?" I need a Joe Manchin to run in Ohio. I need a Joe Manchin to run in Alabama. I need a Joe Manchin to run in North Carolina. What are you assholes doing?
Yeah.
It's
because
it's
if a Joe Manchin can run in Ohio and North Carolina and carry their candidate by 39 points, boom, they're guaranteed to freaking win. Not necessarily guaranteed, but you know what I mean.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, but instead the Democrats are running the extreme leftist and against the regular Republicans in these states, and that's what hurt them. Now, what's really going to come into play, as it did in 2020 and 2022, is Georgia with their new voting laws. and they are. It's going to be extremely, extremely interesting. Because isn't Warnock only on a 2-year seat?
Yes, because it was special election.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in 2022, it's going to be extremely interesting because the loopholes were tightened. Of not the loopholes tightened in Georgia are not even as tough as the voting laws in New York, but yet the liberals and the mainstream media will attack Georgia for tightening the loopholes.
Well, again,
Sure.
like we said on the last podcast, Chief Political Correspondent Danny's making a good point here.
Yeah.
For 2 years, oh God, what's her name? Who's the woman who's the governor in exile in Georgia? Stacey Abrams has been going around saying that the election that she lost to Kemp for the governorship in Georgia was fraudulent because of voter fraud. She's gone around for a year or two saying that the election was stolen from her.
Yes.
Suddenly, Georgia likes, okay, let's get all this shit uniform. Let's try to, make it so poll workers can cross county lines if there's a problem. Let's, make sure we have voter ID. Let's have if we're going to do some, let's have uniform times, things to be open. There's nothing crazy in here in this bill.
No. But now
the same
Stacey Abrams is on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, people are not that stupid. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, what I think is, and this is just my speculation. This is just me talking crap out of my ass. But I think after the 2022 election, I think the Georgia election is going to go just fine with their new rules. And I think a lot of other states, maybe not like California, New York, your liberal states, but I think a lot of moderate states will sit there and look at that and go, you know what? It worked fine in 2022. Maybe we should start implementing rules like this.
Well, here's kind of my position on some of this. Well, number one, let me just make this point about Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is a politician that she ran for statewide office in Georgia. She's got the David Hogg problem. Okay. She got a lot of publicity and a lot of backing from a lot of national players like Oprah Winfrey. And she has bought in her own press that she thought she was going to be a player. She didn't win in Georgia. So instead of basically conceding defeat and making a plan to go forward, she's run around basically saying she's a victim and it was stolen from her. And she's tried to leverage that into staying relevant in national politics. And that was working until Kamala Harris came along and basically took the VP slot from her. And now she's relegated to the trash heap. She's radioactive. Again, it's like the biggest story no one ever talked about. When Biden was going to choose his VP candidate, and it was like, well, I'm going to choose a woman of color. And, there's people that are like, okay, I guess that's pretty smart. And there's other people that are like, wait a minute. That's kind of limiting, dude. Why don't you look at the electoral map and and choose somebody that can help you with votes?
See,
because
that's the camp I fell into. But let me say this: whether you like Kamala Harris or not, if you put Kamala Harris up to Stacey Abrams and look at it from what's going to be better for me to win this election, Kamala Harris has it hands freaking down because Stacey Abrams is so freaking toxic. Honestly, if he would have picked her as her vice president, he might have lost.
He might have lost, which is amazing because Kamala Harris brings no electoral college votes. However, she does translate well with the party nationally. But here's what Stacey Abrams did. I think she showed up on The View or one of these daytime talkie shows.
Yeah.
And, these people, they're not, like, no offense to the women at The View. It may not be The View. It could be any one of these daytime shows.
Yeah.
They're not reporters at CNN. And they don't ask questions that can hurt Democrats politically. But a View woman will. And the View woman said, if Joe Biden doesn't pick you, Miss Abrams, is that racism? And the premise of that question is so shitty that no CNN anchor would actually ask that question, because it would affect the outcome of like how this plays politically. on their team. And Stacey Abrams like, yes, I think if he doesn't pick me, I think racism is certainly a factor. And here's the thing. The Biden camp there's no way they saw that. And they were like, fuck me. Really? You're already calling me a fucking racist and I haven't even picked a VP yet? They were like, get fucking Kamala on the phone.
Yeah.
Like that literally, I mean, politically speaking, Stacey Abrams got on that show, pulled out a samurai sword from World War II that they've all been looking for, and cut her own head off on national television. Well, it was a huge mistake, and nobody reported it.
Stacey Abrams is not a savvy politician.
She is a clown.
And when I say that, okay, she might be able to clown around in Georgia and get people to like her, but in the Beltway,
they don't like her in Georgia. She was encouraging MLB to boycott Georgia until she realized that after MLB boycotted Georgia, it was going to hurt a bunch of her constituents. That now she was against MLB boycotting Georgia.
Yeah.
It's like she's like the black female John Kerry at this point. I voted for funding the war before I voted against it.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the Masters went off just fine in Georgia. Some of the highest attendance ever.
Oh, that's right. A Japanese guy won it, right?
Yes, he did. By
I forgot.
Stroke.
You know what? Yeah, I don't even pay. A Japanese guy won it, and then CNN put a pickup of or maybe it was a Korean guy. No, it was a Japanese guy.
A Japanese guy won by 1 stroke, samurai sword. I find that funny.
So did he win by 1 stroke? I don't know.
No, but he really did. He won by 1 stroke over the American.
And then CNN was trying to report on all this, and I guess they put the wrong picture up of some Korean players, and it's like like CNN's been berating everybody over anti-Asian and all racism now. Like okay, dude. Chief political correspondent, we got to talk about this because nobody's talking about this in national media. Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the anti-Asian hate crimes that are going on in this country.
Mostly New York City.
A lot in New York, but there's been other things happening. There's a woman I think was beat up in California this past week, and apparently she's actually Hispanic, but I guess people might have perceived her to look Asian.
Well, that's because she's got, and I'm going to say this in jest, because
dude, don't make me fucking edit you. Don't make this shit hard for me.
Okay, go on.
I would say that the anti-Asian, violence that's going on is people are thinking any Asian is responsible for the flu.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Before all the Asian hate started, and a lot of it seemed to be in the Northeast and in major urban centers in general, big democratic cities, there was a lot of anti-Jewish attacks going, like all these, like it just got dropped and the media never really went crazy about it. But all these Hasidic guys were getting their asses kicked walking down the street in New York City until about the pandemic hit. And then it started switching into the Asian crimes. Now, I don't know if maybe it was always there and just being reported or if this is actually on the uptick, but it's super interesting. The media, the left media, now wants to say this is Donald Trump's fault. Like somehow this is Republicans' fault or Donald Trump or racism, conservatives, like whatever. When you look at the actual statistics, they claim that black people are owned or Democrats. Like the Democrat Party owns black people. And I'm saying that deliberately because that's the way they treat them. Mm-hmm. But it's black people that are committing almost all this Asian shit. And it was black people that was committing almost all the Hasidic Jewish stuff.
I mean,
that's been going on. But CNN can't report that.
Let's get back to our own street education target of opportunity.
Well, but hold on. It's even more interesting than that. Okay. So suddenly, like now, CNN and these people, they're super interested in anti-Asian hate, right? They're super interested in it. Super, like it's, if they talk about it. but they don't report who's committing it, which is weird. So if they're so interested in it, why don't they report who's committing it? But it's also interesting because anti-Asian bigotry is terrible unless you're talking about kids getting into Ivy League schools and a bunch of Asian kids score well on the ACT and SATs and their entrance exams, but there's too many of them. And so the schools basically go like a third of these Asian kids are like, well, there's just too many Asians. We don't care what your score is. We're going to just go ahead and just brush you off the deck and put different people in to these slots with lower scores so we can balance out the thing. And that's anti-Asian bigotry.
So what you're saying is the reason AOC got into Harvard is because of Asians?
I don't think she went to Harvard. I think she went to Princeton.
I don't think she had a 900 ACT score.
She didn't go to. She's got an economics degree from like some school. I think maybe in Boston, or I don't know where she went to school.
Betty Crocker School of Cooking.
Yeah, but but it's like, wait a minute. Okay, what are we doing here? Like, okay, and here's another statistic. Okay,
by the way, it was Boston University.
Boston. I figured it was a school in Boston.
Yeah. Harvard's in Boston.
Oh yeah, it is in Boston.
Yeah. It is, so.
I don't even care about Harvard.
Well,
here's the thing: like, what's the median? Okay, when you look at immigrants to this country, okay, and you break down the median average income of people based off of race in this country, I think the last statistics were the median average income of whites is like $76,000, which is really good. The median average income of blacks, I think, is 30 some thousand. I think Hispanics is maybe 50,000 in the 50s. The median average income of Asians, it's like 90,000.
Okay.
And why is that? Why?
Education.
Okay. Why does the median average income of Asians so much higher? Why are so many Asians, when they test to go into these schools, why are they getting in? And why does Harvard have to arbitrarily discriminate against Asians so they can balance out the race quotas that they claim they don't have, but everyone knows they do?
Why is all
this? And how come the left is concerned about racism-based policies, or racism against Asians when it suits them, but they're okay with racist-based policies against Asians, when it's other things.
Well, I think a lot of it's work ethic and family structure.
Bingo. That's exactly what it is. Work ethic. It's family. Mostly it's family structure because family structure tends to breed work ethic.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't even want to go there yet because I don't even know. We don't know a whole lot about. I literally just saw some of the stuff this morning. Danny, like there's a 13-year-old kid at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning running around Chicago shooting a gun.
Yes.
Shooting a gun, and it's like, okay, I don't know all the statistics, but why is a 13-year-old child running around at 2 o'clock in the morning? And by the way, with a gun and shooting it, like where's?
Well, I have
just saying.
Well, here's what happened. He was accompanied by a 21-year-old adult at that time. Now,
hold on. Just hold. I don't know anything about this story beyond some of the most basic facts.
Well,
but working the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and if there's a 17-year-old kid slinging dope, and there's a 21-year-old kid slinging dope, or a 21-year-old kid slinging dope, and a 17-year-old kid is a lookout, I don't look at that as the 21-year-old has an adult accompanying the minor. That's two fools out on a street corner at 3 o'clock in the morning engaging in bullshit behavior.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's no fucking. I don't even want to hear that fucking bullshit.
Okay.
Like, well, wait a minute. Here was no.
All right.
Go ahead.
Now, without the semantics of the adult minor thing, he was with a 21-year-old. the 21-year-old supposedly possibly was doing the shooting. Maybe the 12-year-old was, or 14, whatever he was. But what had happened and what's on video is police responded to a report of shots fired.
Mm-hmm.
When the police got there, the 12-year-old did, in fact, have the gun in his hand. He turned towards the police. Well, right away, as a policeman, you know you only have that split second. The police drew. The kid then dropped the weapon as the police drew and fired. So what the media is posting is showing the kid with his hands up after dropping the weapon. But when that weapon is first pointed at you, you have a millisecond to react.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to go home if I'm the policeman.
I haven't, I didn't even know that's what happened. I thought maybe the kid had dropped the gun, then the cops showed up and they couldn't see his hand.
The narrative is, as things happen so fast, the narrative is the mainstream media is only showing the picture of the kid with his hands up. But the police have already given the order to drop the gun. He had the gun. Now, when you turn towards the policeman and then you drop it and, the suspect is already drawn upon, there's no time for reholstering.
Well, hold on. Have you seen, I sent it to you yesterday. So there's a story, and, I have to admit, it didn't look that great, but there's a body cam footage of the Army lieutenant. He's a black gentleman. He's an officer of the United States Army, and he's in his vehicle, and they're macing him, get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. And, it's like, okay. But, it's like, there's only so many times you let somebody say get out of the car before it's like, okay, we're going to, you get out of that car. But there's the rest of the dash cam or the body cam footage that's now coming out. And it's like, okay, so the cop is talking to the lieutenant, okay? This situation has resolved itself, okay? They're giving him shit. He's sitting, they're giving him shit for his eyes, and they're talking to him. And the cop's like, yo, dude, why didn't you pull over? And he's like, well, I want to pull over in the lighted area. And the cop's like, okay, I understand that. But we have multiple cop cars behind you. You are lit up, and you didn't pull over for 1.5 miles. And you see us back there. And it's like, he goes, the only reason we were going to pull you over is you didn't have a tag on the back of your car. And he's like, we just saw you didn't have a tag. And it's like, oh, I see that now it's, you have tinted windows. We see now you have a tag in your window. But technically it has to be on the plate. We couldn't even see it until we actually got close enough to your car. This would have been no big deal. But then basically you led us onto a rolling chase, a rolling pursuit. Stop. For it wasn't really a full-blown pursuit. Guy just didn't stop for 1.5 miles. That's a police chase. And it's like, this is now turning into a pig pile. Like there's multiple cars. He pulls into the gas station. They say, get out of the car. He puts his hands out of the car. His hands are together. They're like, show us your hands. He literally has his hands together like could be hiding something. He won't get out of the car. He's not really showing his hands. He's not complying. They finally get him out of the car. They find a pistol under his right leg. And they're just like, dude, we're trying to be safe here too. This would have been no big deal. Pull you over. You don't have the tag. Basically, oh, hi, Lieutenant. So sorry. Put the tag onto the plate. Make sure run you. No warrants, no whatever. Go on your way. But you turn this into a giant shit show, and then you don't comply with anything. And it's like, what's most astounding to me when I see this, there's always a joke about the dumb Army lieutenant.
Was he a lieutenant or a major?
I thought he was a lieutenant. But you know what? Now looking at him, he looks old enough. He looks pretty old for a lieutenant. To make major in the Army, you're at least in 10 years. Generally. I know someone's going to tell me that's not true, but it is. So, I mean, he would be third. I don't know, if he first lieutenant, second lieutenant, so maybe 20, he's going to be under 30. So, I don't know if Danny's back. You're fine, Danny.
Yeah, I'm here. I got kicked off for a minute.
Yeah, you got kicked off, and I think Freeze Freeze is now back to. Yep, Freeze, you're good. You got kicked off too, so I don't know what's going on. But like this dumb lieutenant, it's like, what are you like? Why don't you just like you're a lieutenant in the United States Army? You understand. You give orders all the time. You understand what it's like to recognize rank and and all this. Like, what the hell? It was just bizarre.
Crazy.
Like it's like systemic non-compliance. Like this dude knows better. It was so dumb.
Well, if you look at half of the police-involved shootings, I'll bet you 90% of them are non-compliance.
Hold on one second. Hey, Freeze, you're muted. There you go. Stop.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. Just you're muting yourself.
Yeah,
So-
I was coughing.
Okay,
so.
okay. I didn't know because you was okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm cool.
Go
Does
ahead.
this
Go
have
ahead.
the time constraint cutoff like the other
No,
one we
we're
had?
good. No, we're good.
Okay.
We should be good. So yeah, it's just like systemic non-compliance. It's like if half these people would just chill the fuck out and quit fucking with each other.
Well,
it's
and that's the problem with a lot of these issues, regardless of race, because no one ever reports on the white guy who doesn't comply with the cops, and I mean it's always well, the cops beat up the black guy or shot the black guy or whatever, and it's always not always, but it's mainly a non-compliance. But here's the thing: for every black guy, and it's a numbers game at this point. For every black guy that doesn't comply with the cop and bad things happen to him, there's probably 3, 4, or 5 white guys that do the same thing, but CNN doesn't really want to report that because there's no clicks.
yeah, it doesn't go with the narrative, so they don't report it, and it just
Yeah.
makes things worse.
But
Because
it's
they're
all
more interested in driving a narrative than in reporting the facts.
exactly.
And
That's
it's like
crazy.
this. It's it is it's maybe we should. I mean, it is frustrating.
No, it is. It's very frustrating.
Because I mean, all this stuff that it's like if I went out and picked a fight, maybe one time out of 10 I might get my head bashed in. You know what I mean? Like if you're taking a risk by the other side is also able to make mistakes. If you make mistakes, they can make mistakes.
Yes.
So, well, Danny, let me go ahead and just say this. We're going to, I hope we don't have a time constraint, but I'm getting these weird beepings. I don't know if you guys are hearing it as well. I don't know if that's some kind of warning or not. So,
Yeah, I just heard that feed in too.
yes, I don't know what that was. So, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead. We're kind of drifting here. We have some viewer or listener questions. Let's go ahead and go through some of these, and let's see how this works. We've never done this before. I think we have. I guess we might have 8 questions. So
Okay, that's cool.
I'm actually looking forward to this portion of the show.
I am too. So hopefully I don't screw it up technically. So please bear with me, everybody. So once I start playing the question, if I stop it, it starts over. So I want you guys to hear the question. So here's question number 1.
Hi, this is Bob from PA. I was listening to your podcast and about Freeze's dog having the downs. Well, I happen to have the same type of dog. So I'm thinking, I started getting upset. My dog doesn't have the downs. But then I got to thinking maybe he does. He's already gone out and taken a crap on the pad in front of the garage. Then he goes and takes his crap in the driveway, which is gravel. I'm thinking, well, maybe my dog has the downs. But then the other day something happened. He gave an emergency bark. I mean, he barked like crazy. We send him outside, and he goes right into the grass. So right there proves that my dog does not have the downs. Keep up the good work, guys. I've never laughed so hard in my life as that last podcast. Have a good one. Bye.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
I guess our podcast has turned to dog shit.
Yeah, it's turned into dog shit.
Okay, so let me clarify. When I'm not saying that the breed is a Downsy kind of breed. I'm just saying, okay, let me preface by saying my dog has a lot of issues. He's got hip dysplasia, he's got bowed legs. I think he's hard of hearing, or either that or he's got selective hearing. It doesn't give a shit what I say about him. And and look, my dog was like the run of the litter. Honestly, we spent a ton of money to keep him alive when he was a puppy.
Oh,
The
I
dogs,
remember. I remember
yeah,
that.
I
Oh
mean,
my
yeah,
God.
the dog had a lot of problems by birth. We bought him from a puppy mill, unfortunately, and honestly, it's a great breed of dog. They're loyal. They love people. But my dog just has issues. And when we were talking about him being Downsy, I was half joking about it, and we were having a good time with it. But look, that particular breed of dog, is a great dog to have, and I know other people that have the same dog, and with my dog's hip and leg issues. I mean, he can't jump up on couches or beds or anything, and he's just, you know, he is what he is. I mean, he's a great dog. I love him to death, but I'm not saying that all King Charleses are Downsy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I actually expected, because the way I was laughing about your dog, because you people just have to see what I see. I expected to get a lot of hate from people because it felt like I was shitting on your dog, and I was at this message from Bob actually made me feel pretty good because I literally expected people to just want to just cut my head off with a samurai sword. So okay, so let's go into the next question because we got to get through the 8 of these things, and I think this one might be for Freeze, but I'm not certain. So let's go ahead and hit it now.
Hey guys, this question is primarily for Freeze. I'm hoping to go out and get my first deer this fall and don't want to ruin it. What's the best way to prepare it? Thanks for your answer in advance.
What's the best way to prepare deer meat?
I'm assuming he's talking about for eating or for.
I believe so. I don't think he's
processing.
asking to feel. Maybe he's.
Okay, I mean, if honestly, if he's talking about processing, I'm going to say if it's your first deer, just watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to field dress them, and then take them to a deer processor. Don't do it yourself. If it's your first time.
Would you have a recommendation as to if it is a processing question, should they do sausage? Should they do certain cuts? What do you recommend?
Most processors have packages. I would get as many steaks out of it as you can. Get as much hamburger, maybe a roast or two. Deer tend to be pretty small, so you're not really going to get a whole lot of meat. So I'd get as much steak out of it as you can. Get the tenderloins, of course. I like to have the back strap cut into medallions, but that is the filet mignon portion of the deer, so you can have whatever you want done. Now, if it's preparing for cooking, well, I mean, that's a whole nother. When I process my own deer, I generally do two things. I cut the back straps and tenderloins out of it because those are your choicest pieces of meat.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, I usually just grind into hamburger because I make, meatloaf, hamburger patties, jerky.
Chili?
Yeah, chili. So I generally grind most of everything into hamburger except for the back strap and the loins. The loins, I leave, I eat the loin because that's delicious.
Do you add fat to? Do I remember?
Yes.
You add fat to your stuff to make burgers or something?
Actually, I used to get beef fat from the butcher to add, but what I do now is all year long. Whenever I'm at the grocery store, I find the fattiest bacon I can find. That's cheap. And I buy it and I put it in the deep freeze downstairs. So when I grind, because you got to add fat to deer meat because there's just literally no fat in there. So what I do is as I'm grinding it for like every 5 pounds of venison, I add a pound of this really super fatty bacon because, well, pork is just fucking wonderful no matter how you look at it. And then the fat adds the fat content that you need. And I figure 1 pound of bacon to 5 pounds of venison works really well for me.
Okay. So okay, well that's good. I think that's a good answer. Hopefully we got a little bit of processing, we got a little bit of preparation, so hopefully that gets it. Now we
Well,
got
hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, we've got two more questions. One from Kristen and one from Christian and one from Travis, and they're kind of two versions of the same question, but I'm gonna play them both. So I'll play one then the other, then we'll hit them both. This is probably more for me, but let's go.
Hey guys, Christian Central Texas calling in with a question for the podcast. With ammo supplies and prices continuing to be an issue, how would you go about planning the most bang for your buck, call it a 1 or 2 box of 50 round 9mm ammo range day to get the most out of a training session? Interested to hear what you say. Thanks.
Okay, now let me play the second question from Travis. It's going to be along the same lines.
Hey, Danny, Marky, and Freeze. This is Travis from Louisville, Kentucky. I was wondering if you had any specific drills, like low round count drills, for somebody to practice with who is confined to a public range and cannot draw from concealment. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing your answer.
Okay, so Travis, I have been where you've been. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And, the biggest thing, I guess, you can't draw from holster. You definitely can't draw from concealment. What I used to do is I would always want to work on sight presentation and picking up from the eye. So there's no reason at an indoor gun range I can't hold a handgun at a high chest ready or compressed ready. You can look up on the internet what that is. So basically you just pull it in tight to your chest. And what this basically simulates is the second step of drawing from a holster. And then, you stand there and you find your whatever the target you're trying to go for, and you practice pushing out the gun, picking up the sight, and taking a shot onto your target. And unless someone's physically watching you push that gun out, they don't really think it's anything different on an indoor gun range. It's also a low round count drill, a low round count practice. So that's 90% of the game is pushing out and picking up that front sight. Then another thing that I would do as far as low round count drills, if you want to do transitions, is you have a paper target, like you could do an 8.5 by 11 sheet, or if you can get a big piece of cardboard and you put it out, say at maximum 7 yards at an indoor range, and maybe you can get two 8.5, 11 pieces of paper on there. Instead of having two targets, you're like, I'm going to go shoot the target on the left, and then I'm going to go shoot the target on the right a whole bunch. The game is not when the gun is out shooting. That's the easy part. The work comes in pushing the gun out, picking up the sight, breaking that shot onto that first target, and then transitioning over to the second target and breaking that second shot. So you can work sight presentation, trigger control, and transitions from an indoor gun range, and they have no idea that you're doing any of this because it just looks like you're pushing out to a target and then you're shooting another. They hear boom and maybe they hear boom. So that's what I would recommend for some low round count stuff is, if you can draw, if you're at a place where you can draw from concealed, the number one thing I would, the whole game, look, your life isn't Rambo. You're not trying to fight the North Vietnamese army and rescuing the POWs in the camp. Okay, your average shooting, I don't like to quote that too much, but if you're going to need a gun in extremis, drawing that gun, pushing it out for a committed shot, say between 5 to 7 yards, and then, drawing, and you literally draw and push out for a committed shot for half a box of 50. I mean, that's significant work. And that's also stuff you can do dry before you even go live. You can get a lot of training into a 50-round box.
Well, I was also going to mention when you were talking about, pushing the gun out, which is the second step, before you get to the range, and it actually costs you 0 rounds, is with your firearm unloaded, practice your draw and bringing it up to your chest, at home.
Yeah, dry work is free, and it pays off.
That's free. It doesn't cost any range time. It doesn't cost any ammo. And then when you go to the range, then you just pick up the second step and then go from there.
Yeah, and here's the thing with dry work. I'll say this. I guess there's you can work on mechanics when you're shooting dry, but there does come a point when you're looking through your sights and you're presenting to a target and you break that dry shot, you have to be an honest person. You have to be able to basically say, was that front sight and that rear sight and where you wanted on that target to hit, was that where it wanted it to be? Was that a hit or was it a miss? Was it an okay hit? Was it a solid hit? Because if you can't call balls and strikes on yourself, you're not going to get a whole lot out of dry practice. You're gonna limit, your ability to be precise. And it sounds counterintuitive, but you can actually work on precision dry as long as you are looking through your sights and a target, and you actually are honest with when that shot broke.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. Hold on one second. And clear my throat. Okay, so next question, and this is going to be about our gun range, and I think Freeze is going to have. Well, actually, no, Danny, I think you might have some input on this one as well. So here we go.
Hey, gentlemen, just calling for a podcast question. Love the podcast. Just kind of wondering what your thoughts are for somebody that's looking at building a small range, like on some personal land, nothing like what you guys have, but maybe a little pistol bay, 100, 200 yards or something for load development, rifle sight in. Kind of what, something you guys didn't expect with your range, the kind of things to look out for, tips, tricks, that kind of thing. So thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, so
You want me to answer first?
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Answer first. Go ahead first, Danny.
Zoning and local laws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
That's the
point.
that's the first thing you should look into before you even contemplate it.
Yeah, that's a valid point. That really is. Yeah.
Yeah, because like when we built the John 1911 range, when we were looking for property, we were very cognizant as to not only the zoning, but the lay of the land and the neighbors. I will say this: there's one thing's going to be pretty obvious when I say it, and the other one's not going to be obvious. If you especially with a rifle range, you will notice if they can avoid it. Most government-built ranges, again, not all of them. It depends on if they're trying to squeeze stuff in. Especially rifle ranges, they try to build them north to south. They don't build them east to west. And the reason is, if you build a range east to west, half your day you're going to be looking at the sun. And if you're trying to run people through your range, like a volume of people, like, you're at a military reservation and, you got to run people through all day, there's part of your day it's going to be awful because there's going to be dudes literally looking at the sun trying to figure out, how to work their guns. And if, there's something to be said for, having that experience. But if you're trying to just focus on gun skills and sights and trigger management and calling your dope and, doing all these different things on these ranges, then, you're too busy being blasted by the sun, that kind of sucks rocks. So if you can, you can do a north-south, just, you may not have the option if you already have the property. The biggest thing I would say that you definitely have to watch out for, and I cannot overstate this enough because you probably already have the property. You probably have an idea, like it sounds like a pistol pit, a pistol pit and like a rifle range, 200-yard rifle range. Better watch out for water. Water is going to destroy you because, it's real easy and it's tempting to be like, I'm just going to bulldoze up some dirt. And we'll just shoot in dirt and a via flats, we'll just go ahead and do it. We were luckily, because I had enough experience dealing with range construction where I used to work, that I made it a point in our pits, our big giant pit, that I even put it into a hill. And if you look at it, it's a large pit. You can shoot 50 BMG in it. It's about 50 yards diagonal. It's about 40 some yards deep, but it's actually pitched away and down for water. And if you don't grade for water in an area where if you're going to grade a bunch of land and you're going to be standing in that area and shooting in that area and you don't grade for water, you're going to fuck yourself. I'm telling you, because
make
it's going to
sure.
turn into a swamp. It's going to turn into a swamp, and you're constantly dealing with gravel and erosion. And the money you spend building your giant berms is going to be washed down, and you're going to you're going to watch that money roll down. So grade for water. Think about water if any place you're going to be standing and you're going to grade. Pitch it for water, and the second you have a berm up, get grass on it. And the reality is if you build these berms and you don't want them to erode, instead of throwing grass seed on them, I recommend getting the rolled netting. You throw grass seed, then the rolled nets of hay, the rolled hay nets over it to hold the stuff in and just keep the birds and the water from pushing it down. Because if you just throw grass on the berm and it rains, it just washes off.
All speaking from experience here.
All speaking from major experience here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and Marky, the north-south comment is a fantastic truth, because if you'll notice, all baseball fields are built north to south for the same reason. You don't want the sun in the batter's eyes.
I did not know that. See, we're learning something new here on the John 1911 podcast.
Well, next time you go by a field, if it's built correctly, look which way it's built, because if you have an afternoon game, the sun's going to be right in your eyes.
And, no batter wants to take a baseball in the teeth and not see it coming. So
or an umpire to make the call.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So, okay, now here's the next question, and this one's going to be, let me shuffle some papers here. This one's, you can call and give us questions, you can call and give us feedback, you can call and criticize us, you can do whatever you want. This is kind of a fun question, and I kind of had fun. We've discussed it off air so we could be ready, and we'll go ahead and give our answers, but this is it's about John Wayne.
Hey guys, got another question for the podcast. Can you tell me your favorite John Wayne movie character and or the best 007 actor, and you can't use George Lazenby because he only did one? I'll wait for my answer. Thanks, guys.
So, Danny, you can go first because you're the senior member of staff. Who the hell is George Lazenby? I have no idea who that is.
He only did a one 007 movie. He was pretty much of a bust.
Was he the first one or the second one? He only did one movie. I can't remember if he was the first James Bond.
I believe he was. I believe he served as the interim between Sean Connery's reemergence as coming back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I know Sean Connery had left and come back.
Yes.
Well, no, hold on. What it sounds like to me, if Sean Connery left and came back, what it sounds like, Sean Connery was James Bond. This Lazenby dude got the job, then got fired because it was did so poorly. Then Sean Connery got a big old check to come back and play it again.
Right, and I believe the movie title when he came back was "You Only Live Twice."
Oh, check! I didn't even know any of that. So,
well, I might be correct. I don't know. All right. Well, my favorite John Wayne movie was where he played Sergeant Stryker. You know which one that is?
Is that the one where he got shot at the end?
Yes.
I hate when John Wayne got shot.
Sands of Iwo Jima.
Oh God! I remember as a kid being like, dude, and like he's like dead in like a foxhole, and they're all looking like, oh. And I'm just like, dude, this sucks.
Well, that's my favorite John Wayne movie, and Pierce Bronson is my favorite 007 agent.
Okay.
Freeze, go ahead.
Okay, my favorite John Wayne movie is Big Jake.
Big Jake.
And honestly, this was a tough question because it's really a very close between Big Jake and the Shootist. I love the Shootist, but I think Big Jake edges it out just by a smidge. And Sean Connery is of course, my favorite James Bond character. Sean Connery. So I'll give my James Bond one first, then I'll give my my John Wayne. My James Bond, I had to think about it. Like, who do I think is the best James Bond? Personally, I think the guy that's been playing him recently is probably the best one. But when I was growing up,
I was after Sean Connery was before my time. And then, there's the thespian actor dude. I mean, I hate to say it, but Roger Moore was kind of my James Bond just by virtue of my era. And I know he's not everyone's favorite Roger Moore, but that's the James Bond that I always saw when I was interested in James Bond movies.
Yeah.
But I recognize he's not as cool as any of those dudes. But
No, he's not as cool as. Hey, look, he's not as cool as Sean Connery, but Roger Moore would be my second favorite.
Well, Roger Moore, you know what I like about Roger Moore? One of the things is he moved to Monte Carlo to avoid British taxes, and I was like,
And
you know what?
you gotta love that.
You gotta love that. Sam Cummins, Roger Moore, hopefully one day Marky, we'll all live in Monte Carlo to get
And
rid
your
of.
Porsche shipped.
Yeah, I was in Monte Carlo and I hated it. Oh my god, I was so disappointed.
Honestly, I see you living in Belize just because they have no extradition.
Well, he better get room for us.
There was a time in my life when I had more lawyers than I had friends. Okay, so that's a separate podcast. My favorite, my best character is probably going to go with my favorite John Wayne movie, and it's not a well-known movie, especially today, but it was called In Harm's Way. It was made in 1965. It's a World War II movie, and what I like about this movie is, I guess at my age, I've always, I guess even younger, I've appreciated movies and characters and stories that create situations where you have to figure out a way forward, and the answer is not always in front of you, or there could be obstacles, and like people tend to look at history. The way people look at history, I've always thought was kind of goofy. Like people act like, well, the war was going to end in 1945. Why do we drop the nuclear bomb? Well, it's like, well, the reason the war ended in 1945 is because we dropped a nuclear bomb. We were making plans for the war to go in the 47 and possibly even 48, at least in the 47 to invade Japan. It's like, see, people just like, oh, the war's almost over, it's coming up, and then we drop the bomb. It's like people want to rewrite history. It's like it wasn't like that, And the movie In Harm's Way, it starts with John Wayne as the captain of a little destroyer. And he's outside of Pearl Harbor, and they see planes, and it's like, and then there's traffic on, like, someone maybe might have depth charged a submarine, and like what the fuck's going on? Like, what is this? Like, well, and I like that movie, and I like that character, and then it progresses where John Wayne becomes an admiral, and he there's scenarios where they do things where like he thinks he lost and he actually won, and it's not all cut and dry. But dude, I'll tell you what, I recommend, if you guys haven't seen this movie or haven't seen it in a long time, if you actually watch, because I had to rewatch the movie, everybody's in this movie. This movie has John Wayne in it, Kirk Douglas, Patricia Neal. It has Burgess Meredith in it, Patrick O'Neill, Carol O'Connor is in it, Slim Pickens, James Mitchum. Dude, Larry Hagman's in this movie. JR, Who Shot JR, is in this movie. Henry Fonda plays, obviously, Admiral Nimitz. And it's super neat. I think it's a neat movie. So it's probably no one else's favorite movie, but I think it's my favorite. It's my favorite John Wayne movie.
No, I mean, I've seen the movie several times. It's a great movie. But the thing is, you bring up a point about all the people in it, but John Wayne, usually, if you look back at a lot of his movies, pretty much has an all-star cast of characters in it. I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of prominent actors play in his movies.
Yeah, because the reality is, if you get John Wayne, it's a John Wayne movie, and everybody's going to want to be in that movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, back then, because that's how the studio system worked.
Well, they actually filmed that in Hawaii, and everyone was flown out on location. How could you turn down a Hawaiian trip to film a movie?
Yeah, that's
sure.
and get paid for it.
Well,
Right.
the reality is also, back in those days, with the old studio systems, you weren't really in a position to turn down movies either. They kind of, you were very much under contract, like
Well,
almost like, yeah.
and one of the things with John Wayne is a lot of the reasons why you'll see the same people in all of his movies is John Wayne was very well known for taking care of his friends. So if you were, one of John Wayne's friends, you almost got guaranteed a role in one of his movies, whether it was a minor role or a major role. I mean,
So, Freeze, let me ask you this question, because I honestly don't know, because I remember when John Wayne died, but I was still relatively young.
yeah.
And I never, like, I knew who John Wayne was, and I liked John Wayne movies, but I wasn't old enough to really understand the real world of, like, these people.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, was John Wayne a good guy, or was he an asshole?
No, he was actually really a good guy. He was a horrible businessman. That's why he made over like 140 movies, because he was not good with his money, and he had to make movies to kind of bring the cash in.
No,
But
okay.
but he was a huge patriot. Um, he was very, very upset that he didn't actually get to participate in the military during World War II. But
Was he a big star by World War II?
oh yes, yes, he was. I mean, he was a star in like the 30s and that. But the thing is, they opted to keep him out of the military service because they used him to promote all these pro-war movies.
War bonds. And
Yeah,
there were a lot of people that did a
yeah.
lot of.
Exactly. Now, he was also a devout anti-communist.
I heard a rumor that I think, was it Stalin had a casual plan to assassinate John Wayne?
Yes,
Because
that is true. Yeah.
Did you also know that he was bald?
I did.
Yes.
I didn't find it out till later in life.
I knew that as well. But another interesting fact, and a lot of people don't realize this today, or maybe they do, but back in the day, you were either a TV star or a movie star. And like John Wayne would never do TV. He did a couple appearances, like on the Dean Martin Variety Hour later in life.
Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
He was on Beverly Hillbillies?
Yes, he was on Beverly Hillbillies. He was. But John Wayne would never do TV because he was a movie star. So when they were tossing the idea of Gunsmoke out, they wanted John Wayne to play Matt Dillon.
Marshall Dillon, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted John Wayne to do it, and John Wayne's like, I don't do TV. I'm a movie star. But one of the guys who appeared in a lot of early John Wayne movies was James Arness. So John Wayne said, hey, the guy you need to get to play Matt Dillon is my buddy, James Arness. And, well, that's how James Arness became Matt Dillon, and,
Well, that's good to know that he took care of his friends, because I recently read a book about Johnny Carson. And I always liked Johnny Carson, like, as a kid, because, like Johnny Carson, like his show. Like, he just seemed like he was like America's. Johnny Carson Johnny Carson couldn't exist today. As a matter of fact, the idea of Johnny Carson that we have of Johnny Carson was never even real. Johnny Carson was truly a son of a bitch.
Really?
Like, it's unbelievable the bullshit that went on.
I had no idea. I always liked Johnny Carson. I liked his show.
I mean, he had a few, it had a few characters that you could always admire, but in real life, he was not a good guy.
Wow, okay.
And it was shocking. Like, I always heard he was like, because you hear stories and it's like, he's kind of a dick. But it's like, well, maybe he has to be a dick because when you're the star, all these hangers-on will try to run you into the ground because they all try to take advantage of you. Oh, no. Johnny Carson's lucky he's not in jail, wasn't put in jail.
So what you're saying is Ellen DeGeneres is this day and age's Johnny Carson?
Yes, I'll tell you what. I'm telling you what, that is no joke. There is the stories that come out about Ellen DeGeneres and Johnny Carson. It could be the same story.
Wow.
But here's the thing. Johnny Carson is probably 10 times worse than Ellen DeGeneres because Ellen DeGeneres hasn't had that long to build up the record of nonsense that Carson.
Well, and Johnny Carson could probably get away with a lot more shit than Ellen DeGeneres.
Johnny Carson was hiring people to break into break into apartments and spy on people, and like it's crazy the shit that was going on.
Wow, that's nuts.
Waving guns around and just and fucking people over and treating people like shit. Like most of the people that you think are Johnny Carson's friends, like Ed McMahon, he's not their friend. I mean, basically it was understood, hey, you're here because I say you're here, and I'm going to be nice to you when the camera's on, but when I tell you to shut the fuck up, you go away. Like, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Well, Ed McMahon was smart because he collected a paycheck all those years.
Yeah,
I tell you what, Ed McMahon later in life actually was broke, and Donald Trump gave him money.
Wow, didn't I?
Ed McMahon was going to lose his house.
Wow.
And Donald Trump was like, no, Ed McMahon is not going to lose his house. We'll going to get him some money.
Huh. Hey, but you know what? Let me totally change subjects here.
Well, hold on. We got two more questions, but go ahead. You want to do it after the last two questions?
Yeah, let's go through the next two questions.
Okay,
first,
next two questions. These might all be from the same person, but let me see. Hold on and go.
Hey guys, leaving another message for the podcast. Just curious, what was the first gun you actually bought on your own? I'll kick off the answering and simultaneously suck up to the host by saying my first gun that I actually purchased was a stainless steel 1911. Looking forward to your answers. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
We'll let Freeze answer this one first because it's more interesting probably. What's your first gun, Freeze?
The first gun I actually purchased with my own cash dollars. I was 14 years old. I purchased a CVA, Connecticut Valley Arms, Philadelphia Derringer kit that I actually assembled myself. It was actually the first gun I ever put together and made. Now, granted, put together and made, it was a pretty simple kit. Sand a little wood, brown the metal, and screw, and put it all together. But I was 14. It was a 45 caliber black powder, Philadelphia Derringer. I still have it to this day. And I probably put thousands of rounds through it because all through from 14 to 25, I used to shoot that thing all the freaking time. I love that gun.
Oh, okay. That's pretty interesting. Danny, what's your first gun?
Well, when I was going to be a senior in high school back in between 71 and 72, I bought a left-handed Remington 1100. And I got it cheap because I'm left-handed, and it was left-handed, and they couldn't get it off the damn rack.
Left-handed guns today bring a pretty premium.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the bad thing about it. Later on, and you guys know I had to convert to right-handed, I didn't think nothing of it and sold it for $300.
Hell, Remington 1100s on their own bring a nice, pretty penny these days.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, let alone a left-handed one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably I'll probably Google that and see what they're selling for now.
Now my first handgun I ever bought, I still have, is my High Point 45.
Oh yeah, but the carbine, right?
Yeah, but the carbine.
Yeah, High Point's terrible, but the carbine. So that's Freeze's running joke.
But the carbine.
Yeah. Mine, I had to think about this one. So my first gun that I ever bought, and I'm not 100% certain on this because, bought a lot of guns. But I believe it was an Italian-made Beretta 92. And I bought it off and this is back when nobody knew what this was. I bought it off he recently retired diplomatic security service agent from the State Department. I was 18 or 19 at the time. Might have been 8. If I recall, I think I might have technically been 18.
So he illegally sold a gun to a minor.
And I think I turned 19 like 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I remember he did take my ID and he wrote my information down because he's a government guy and he didn't mind one bit. So I wasn't
Did it
sure.
have Did it have the government marking on it?
No, I don't. This gun was always kind of questionable. I don't know exactly what he what he was doing with it, but I know Okay, if people don't know what DSS, Diplomatic Security Service, if you ever watched the movie 13 Hours, the Benghazi movie, there's
Civilians.
contract, huh?
The civilian guys.
Yeah, there's the contractors that are kind of the stars of the movie, but the State Department does maintain a civilian security force that works overseas. Like they're the ones that are like in charge of hiring these guys, or maybe doing like making sure the ambassador, like like I think people are always kind of confused. At an embassy, I think like the Marines are responsible for the embassy, not the ambassador. Like if I remember correctly, like they physically, it's their responsibility is the building. Obviously, the ambassador in the building, but the ambassador really is the responsibility of the DSS people and the State Department. The Marines protect the building, the facility, the property, the grounds, the territory. Yeah. So this guy was a DSS agent, and so I didn't hardly understand what he was even back then. So but man, that was my first gun. So cool. Big ass Beretta 92. So all right, we got one more question. I'm not even sure what this one is, and go.
Thanks for the help on the 2011 question, and Marky, I appreciate your help on the website. My question is, if I do get rid of the staccato, I don't want to go back to a Glock if I can help it. So is my only other option being single action, hammer fired, going to be the Wilson gun, or is something like a SIG going to be a viable option?
Well, okay, so I'm going to say this person's first name because he didn't say it on, but his name is Garrett. So, but he leaves comments on our website, so someone could be trying to figure who he is. He's got a staccato gun that isn't running well, and in my opinion, it's undersprung and over-railed and over-lugged, like most 9mm 1911s are. Look, my first recommendation, because I've got a lot of experience with the gun, is if you want a double stack 9mm 1911 hammer fired type 1911 type gun, take a hard look at the Wilson EDC X9 guns. They make an X. My gun kind of runs like a Glock. It locks and unlocks like a Glock. It does have a bushing, but it has a modern external extractor. It's a modern gun. However, if you want to be more traditional and get a gun that's maybe closer to being a staccato, you could. Wilson has been doing the Experior double stacks. So it's basically it's a X-frame lower gun, but the top end of the gun is 1911 style extractor, 1911 bushing, 1911 lugs. I believe they're double lug. I don't know if they're reducing a lug on the double stack guns like they do on my single stack. And if you want a gun that, if you can find a single stack SIG, if you like them, it's going to be buyer's choice at this point. There's a lot of options out there. I think the weakness of the staccato gun and all these 9mm double stack guns is the magazine, and they're overlugged and overrailed, and the extractor. So it's a lot. There's a lot of problems there. I certainly look at the Experior, but there's other guns out there if you want a single stack. Did he say or double stack? Did he say single action, or
did he say single action? He said SA.
Okay, single action. So I think there's a SIG 226 out there that may cock and lock like that. Right, the freeze. You know SIGs. Like there's options out there.
There's a lot of options. I mean, Sig offers several options that would be acceptable. I like your advice, going with the Wilson, because I think that's going to be closest to what he has.
Yeah, I think
And the thing is, the Wilsons will run, and ultimately, that's the end game, is to get something that actually works.
Now, I'm going to say this, and because I have to be honest here. Like, I have a lot of experience with the Wilson EDC X9 L gun, the long slide double stack gun. That's, to me, it's built like a Glock. That gun runs and runs and runs and runs. And Wilson, I'm not real hip on the traditional 9mm 1911s because there's problems with them. And Wilson had sent over a traditional 9mm single stack 1911 with all the traditional stuff in it, with some changes. And I even basically told them, I'm like, this gun ain't going to run. Like, it's like, okay, we'll take a look at it. We'll shoot it for a little bit and we'll give it. And this gun, I can't believe how well this gun runs. It's almost like magic. I can't believe how well this gun runs. So there, the Experior double stack, that is, a traditional 1911 up top, but the X-frame down below. I have no experience with that gun. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I've never messed with one. Yeah. I've kind of messed with the single stack ones, and they're phenomenal. So, if it was my choice between a traditional Xperia double stack and the EDC X9 L gun, get the X9L. Get the X-frame gun with the upgraded upper, because it's just more modern.
What's the price difference between the two?
I think the Experiors are more expensive because I think they're more expensive to manufacture.
Okay.
Manufacture. I don't know the price off the top of my head, but I think the EDC series of guns. Well, I'm going to say this too. Like, this just goes without saying. I'm assuming Garrett wants a 4.5 or 5-inch gun. Like if he's thinking he's going to buy like some, I don't even like really the 4-inch guns. Even because you got to make them bull barrels and there's issues there. But I think the X9 EDC, the shorter version, is a 4-inch gun. These officer size guns, I don't care who makes it. I think they're dumpster fires, and I know there's someone out there that runs. I'm not. No, just no. You get a service size pistol, and things will go better.
Yeah.
Minimum try to go for. I would not go on a 1911 bull barrel. 4 inches is your maximum bottom end, in my opinion. I try to go 4 1/4 with a bushing, or even 5. I prefer the full size guns, but I got to be me. So
yeah,
I hope that answers the question. I don't know. So
well, hey, if not, call it in for the next one.
Yeah, call it in for the next one. So all right, so we're gonna do Freeze sent me this one. This is a police blotter, and we'll go ahead and we'll toss it out. So. Did you see, Danny, have you seen the story about the woman who was jailed because I think the tax return company accidentally deposited $1.2 million into her checking account and she won't give it back?
Yeah, I ain't giving it back. That's not your money.
But you know what's interesting about that is I saw a video. I don't even remember who the hell the video was, but they were talking to an attorney. And the attorney was making a pretty valid argument that she might actually be able to keep that money.
There's attorneys out there that told Wesley Snipes he didn't have to pay taxes either.
Yeah.
I guess.
See how well that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, let me. So here's a couple things here. So deep back into this story. This is an amazing story. Number one, this woman works at the sheriff's office as a civilian employee.
No, worked.
Worked. Number two, I guess she signs a thing and she says, I guess on a contract for whatever these places are, that if we accidentally make a mistake, you're going to, not hold it against us and give us the money back or whatever.
Yeah.
Number three, I'm certain if they actually had given her money to somebody else, she'd want her money back.
Oh,
Number
absolutely.
4, not only did she refuse to give the money back, she immediately opened a second second account and moved the money into it so that tax company didn't, like, was it Charles Schwab, or I don't know who it was, have access to the bank account to get the money. So she's not completely dumb.
So she knew she was in the wrong because she moved the money.
But she knew they had if you got the money to put, people don't understand this. If you have the money, if you have the ability to put money into somebody's account, you can yank it out of the account.
Yes.
And,
sure. PayPal does that shit all the time.
And that's why I don't like, even when we deal with vendors, so it's like, we'll set you up on auto pay. I'm like, nope. But it's faster. Nope. You do not get our bank accounts. No way, no how. I don't care who you are, because I know how it works. But here's the thing. And this is a life lesson. So check this out. Okay, look. If she had found $1.2 million in somebody's wallet, just as an argument on the side of the road, okay, and, if she had, sometimes you can, bring the money in and show you're a good person. And a lot of times, people go, hey, because you're a good person, you brought, here's $5,000. You know what I mean? Like, if you actually try to do the right thing, you have the opportunity to maybe be rewarded. The universe can reward you for your good deeds.
Yeah.
But if you abscond with the money, you have no chance of getting anything, and your reputation is going to take a hit, and it's probably going to cost you more money in lawyers' fees and fines.
Well, now, upon her arrest, they did get most of the money back, by the way, except she immediately went out and bought a new car and a new house. So they didn't get it all back. They didn't get it all back because she spent a chunk of it on a house and a car. Now, I'm imagining that there will be legal ramifications to that.
Yeah, well, judges have the ability to time travel, and they can unwind purchases, and they can undo sales. And that car and that house are not long for
this
not
world.
long. They're not long for her portfolio. So,
and not only that, I'm sure that she violated the sheriff's policies and procedures manual.
There's always a moral turpitude clause.
Yeah. Always. And you have to sign it as an employee.
What she could have done is I'm not even opposed to moving the money out of the account, because, I would even make the argument, I don't know what the hell is going on here. Like, because you could just be like, look, I don't know what kind of Nigerian prince has access to my account, but I am moving it. We are closing and moving this shit out of here, and we're gonna take control of the situation until we can contact the authorities and figure out whose money this is, because this looks like drug. You'd be like, this looks like drug money to me. You know what I mean? Like, she could have easily put the brakes on it.
And that goes back to what you were saying before, because if she would have done that and then contacted like Charles Schwab, I believe it was Charles Schwab, I could be wrong, but then they could have easily said, well, upon the refund of that money, we'll give you $5,000 for your honesty. She missed the opportunity to be rewarded for doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. It's never too late to do the right thing. And the longer you put it off, the more painful it gets.
So she's unemployed. She's facing jail time.
Probably picked up a felony.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. It was one.
She didn't have a felony working at the sheriff's office.
Just the cost of the car would have put her into a felony category.
Well, I think is that theft by taking? I don't even know if or there's wire fraud, maybe theft by taking. I'm not even.
Yeah, theft by deception.
Yeah.
A lot of things could have been charged.
Yeah, and it's just like, wow, lady. It's like, oof.
Yeah.
Like, talk about nuking your life.
Though, Freeze, when Charles Schwab took my money and all the stock market losses at one time, they didn't offer me anything for being nice.
Well,
I hope it was Charles Schwab that actually did this, or we're going to get a letter. So, because I don't have the story in front of me. So
No, it was not. So you better cut that out.
okay, large unnamed financial institution, because we're just bringing this one. So. Hey, you know what? We could answer John Wayne movies off the top of our head. We can't be expected to know all these banking institutions.
Yeah, and we didn't even bring up Cracker Jack the Jackass.
Oh, no, we'll save that for the next podcast. So this wraps up episode 209 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any stories or pictures of links of anything we discussed, please go to our website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.
Bye-bye.